I'm kind of pitching myself here as somebody who's an experienced investor, but always, I'm definitely new to this business as well. I just want to speak about this product and just how much, it has really helped me, propel myself, get better with talking with sellers, actually be able to close a deal. My strategies right now have been primarily direct mail, cold calling, and cold texting. And I've found a lot of success with Real Estate IQ, especially being able to get in front of customers, have engaging conversations. And of course, I'm hoping to use all of that to build my own business and eventually retire off.
Excited to be here, and I want to say a big thank you to Real Estate IQ. They have the absolute top leads in the industry and just make investing effortless for all of us as real estate investors here in Texas and obviously everywhere else that they're focused. And I'm proud to be associated with Real Estate IQ. Love what you guys do and love how you all help investors so that we can focus on the thing that makes us the most money, which is the job of real estate investing.
I wanted to jump on this morning and give a shout out to Real Estate IQ. I began my journey with them a few years ago, just using some of the more basic products, the off-market leads. And since then, growing and visiting and talking with not only Steve, but other people who are involved with Real Estate IQ, I've had the opportunity to actually not only be a client, but I also became an investor with them. And that is one of the beauties of being able to be part of Real Estate IQ, is it gives you the opportunity to grow as an investor, especially in real estate.
All right, let's get started, everybody, and welcome to our event today on financing and deal making. This event is brought to you by Real Estate IQ. And I'm just so excited to really kind of get to the content of this event. When I met our guest speakers, Tamela and Randy, when I first discovered that they are a team together, they're a couple as well, just a combination of making deals as an investor, plus having access to loans and funding is just such a powerful combination. So really interested in asking them more questions about, how their teamwork works, and also, the advantage that they're able to kind of bring when they are teaming up and working on these deals together. Finding funding is usually becomes a pretty big challenge as an experienced investor, and you're trying to acquire more deals in your portfolio. Of course, working capital is also extremely important too when it comes to starting up your business and kind of like building up your deals pipeline in the beginning when you're still trying to build it in the building process. So just a quick introduction about the host organization. Real Estate IQ is an intelligence and solutions company with a mission of helping one person win. And specifically, we look at and we focus on the aspect of deal finding, deal making, and deal winning, which is why we're bringing the Deal Winner AMA to you today. One of our most popular products is the off-market motivated sellers. And specifically the pre-foreclosure leads, where the homeowners are extremely motivated to sell you their property or risk losing it at the foreclosure auction. We also have many different types of lucrative motivated seller leads. And if you're interested in taking action and start marketing to these leads, go ahead and you can send us a message and we'll set up a consultation with you. A new program that's not listed here, and I want to kind of give you a preview that we just launched, is our funding program, where we can connect you and potentially provide you with up to 100% financing for your deals. Of course, how much actual funding you will receive is going to depend on the deal itself and also the borrower. But that's just an awesome tool when you're trying to acquire more properties and building up your portfolio. All right. Next. Want to encourage you, if you're looking for deals, obviously you can do marketing to the motivated sellers, right? Then you own the deal yourself. And if you're just hurting for deals, you can also join our buyers list, where we can send you the deals that match your buy box. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce our guest speakers on stage. First, we have Mrs. Tamela Henderson. And both of them actually have decades of investment experience. Tamela has been buying, holding, and flipping over 60 residential and commercial properties. And she has got a lot of experience in the investment and real estate sector. She's also very passionate in community building and affordable housing. Randy is a seasoned mortgage expert and a great connector. One thing I really appreciate about Randy is that not just his experience in many type of deals, residential, commercial, large and small deals, but also his creative approach in making the deals happen. So let's welcome them on stage now. Hello, Randy, Tamela, can you hear us?
Yes, how are y'all?
Cool, we can hear you too. And we see you have your one of your cats on screen. Yes, also.
I have my boss. This is Blue.
Welcome. Hi, Blue. Okay, so we're gonna
to join us.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started. Maybe we can maybe chat. Let me just do some like basic questions, right? So some of the common questions usually is, in order to find win deals, you gotta find deals. So what are some methods that you use to source deals?
Well, as a realtor, I always go to the MLS, or I let other agents that I know personally, I let them know what I do. And I have found many deals through the MLS. A lot of people do not think you can do that, but it is possible. Real estate agents will also bring you deals if they know what you're doing and what you're looking for. I have contacts around communities that I've worked with many, many times, and they call me. I've been doing this for over 20 years, so I have people that call me to tell me what's going on. I work with wholesalers. I work with finders. I call house finders. They know that I will pay them a finder's fee if they can find me the deals and I close on them. So there's many ways out there. They're there. Once you're in the business and you let people know that you're in the business, the houses, the properties, the deals will show up.
And I'm sure, it takes time to kind of build up that connection. And that's why you always want to hit up networking events and kind of always be connecting with people.
Exactly.
So let's go from the very beginning. And could you share with us your story? How did you get into the real estate investment field? Maybe we'll ask Randy first. How about that? We'll take turns.
Well, Steve, I became a lender in 1985 and started out doing traditional loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, loans like that for people buying homes to live in. And I started getting requests from people to purchase homes that were going to become investments for them that they weren't planning on living in. And I started expanding into that arena and commercial lending, and found that it's an area that I've liked very much. And I continue to grow that aspect of my lending business.
And how did you meet Tamela? What's that story?
That's a setup question if ever I heard one. I was teaching a class of realtors and insurance agents that were interested in becoming involved in the mortgage lending industry as a secondary income stream. Tamela was one of the students in the class, and we got to know each other afterwards. And I found out the whole reason I did the class was to find my wife.
And he doesn't remember me from that class, just to throw that out there.
It takes time. It grows over time. How about you, Tamela? How did you get started in this field?
I was married to a home builder many years ago and got involved in real estate in that way. I was the person that we would build spec homes, and I was the person that drew the house plans, that made all the design decisions, that found the properties that we were going to build homes on. And I fell in love with that. And I fell in love with real estate. And later, I just love older homes, and I love seeing the possibilities that you can find in them. I've told Randy many times, homes speak to me. When I walk into them, they speak to me. They tell me what they want. And I try to do it, and I think I've been very successful at it. I've created some extremely beautiful homes out of something that, as Randy would say, ew.
Steve, it was very interesting when we first started working together. We would walk into a house. I would take one look and go, oh, wow. She would take one look and go, oh, wow. Because Tamela has the ability to see what a house could become. I would look at it and see the mess that was left behind in an estate, or just somebody that had moved out. And I'm much better now. I could see walls that need to come down. and see the potential in them, but not as well as Tamela.
And tell us about your teamwork. Okay, so kind of let's say you are able to kind of identify a deal, and in this case, a lot of the things could be in our imagination, because it could be just like from a data standpoint, it's a deal, or it's actually a deal because we're changing the configuration of the house, which we are, in one of the deals in Mahia. That's kind of what we're discovering.
Yes.
Tell us about the teamwork between that and kind of creating the, and obviously the funding needs, and how did you kind of figure out and make that deal happen? Because I think that's very crucial for our audience.
I started out by just looking at properties. I mean, it's just looking at properties and not being afraid to make an offer. Some properties I walk into and it's like, I can't do anything here. I don't see the vision. It's like, this is a no-go. Other properties, I have a vision for them. I know what they can become. And then it's just working the numbers. And I already have it in my mind what I would like to do with the property 95% of the time. So then it's working the numbers. And I work the numbers, and I'm a market pusher. And when I say I'm a market pusher, I believe in getting the top dollar for property when I sell it. But I also want to have a good reputation with whatever I do. So I'm going to recreate that property the best possible way and the correct way. There's been many times that I put a property under contract, and then I would go home and say, honey, I'm buying a house, find me the money. And Randy's always been able to find me the money. Of course, there has been a couple of times that I've put so many houses under contract in 1 month that I walked in the door and I said, honey, I put a house under contract today, find me the money. And he said, slow down. I can't find it fast enough. So we've learned to work together in that sense. He's also very good at double checking my numbers. He doesn't have to see the property to double check my numbers. He takes my numbers, he double checks my numbers. There are times when I have to convince him that this is the deal. I am telling you, this is the deal. But that's a gut feeling that I have. It's like I see something and I know this one is it. And I have to convince him of that. But once he sees the numbers and I show him what I'm looking at, he sees that deal with me. Also, I know my market. I don't look for properties everywhere. I zone in on certain areas. And because I am a real estate agent, I have access to information that I don't necessarily need a real estate agent for. And I know how to pull my own comps. I know what I'm looking for. And I know my market. Certain markets, and this is probably everywhere, one side of town is going to be very different from another side of town. North is very different from south. Know your market. I highly emphasize know your market. If you do not have access to MLS, get a relationship with a real estate agent that you work very, very well with. Teach the real estate agent how you would like for him or her to pull your comps, what you're looking for with comps, so that they always know. Once you do this and you do it enough, You will know your market, and you can look at property in certain areas of town and know what the price per square foot is going for. Know where the market's going. Is it going up? Is it going down? What are people doing with these houses? All of this. And that is, in my opinion, the most important thing.
Which is staying on top of the market and kind of knowing, right? You got to stay on top of the game. You got to watch the scoreboard.
Exactly. It's easy for me to do that because I love what I do. This is not a 9-to-5 job for me. It's not a way for me to make a paycheck. This is my career. This is my life. I love it. And it shows in what I do.
And so, Randy, let's talk about sourcing funding for the deals. What are some sources that you look at? And maybe let's also talk about your process, because I know a lot of folks are probably very curious about it.
Okay, Steve, one of the key numbers, to me, there are 4 key numbers in these projects: the purchase price, the rehab budget, the carrying charges, and the after repair value. One of the things that a lot of people don't take into consideration are the carrying charges. How long is it going to take to rehab that property? Is there a contingency fee? When you're working with houses that aren't relatively new, you can run into problems that aren't apparent when you first start looking or working on the property. And you want to have some cushion in there to make sure that when you get behind that wall and electrical has to be redone, or plumbing, or an HVAC system is old enough it's about to go out, you have to take those numbers into consideration and set what for you is a comfortable guideline. We start with the industry normal of the purchase, rehab, and carrying charges, and selling the house, if you're flipping it, has to come in at 70% of the after repair value, or you may not be leaving yourself enough margin. As far as getting financing on these, there are a number of ways. Unlike when I first got started, there are many lenders out there in the market now that will fund fix and flips and or rental loans for people that want to keep property long term. People have often asked the question of, are you better off going directly to a lender like a Wells Fargo, or better off going to somebody that knows the market and the various lenders? I am a combination of both a direct lender and a mortgage broker. One of the advantages of being a direct lender is you underwrite the loan, you decide whether or not it's a good, safe deal to put the money out on. One of the drawbacks is if you're a direct lender, somebody comes to you and for some reason you don't work. Either your credit, your income, your debt to income ratio doesn't fit their guidelines. You're dead in the water. You have to find a new lender right away. One of the advantages of being a broker is I have many lenders. Let's take fix and flips. Some will do 90% of purchase price and 100% of the rehab. I actually have a couple of lenders that will do 100% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab. So if for some reason one lender doesn't work out, I've already got the file. I could just move it to another underwriter and get the deal closed. It's unusual if we don't have a source regardless of what the situation is. I'm working with a lender right now that has great experience. They actually rehab houses after insurance losses, but the problem is their current credit is really bad. I have a lender that does not take your credit into consideration. They purely look at the asset value of the project. Can he buy that house, fix it up, cover the carrying costs, and make a profit selling the house? Because most lenders are going to look at the downside. What happens if this person defaults on the loan? They want to know there's enough equity built into the project that they're not going to lose money. At worst, they'll break even. So having a multitude of lenders is a great advantage in this market.
Yeah, and maybe also tell us about the different kind of, when it comes to lenders, how do you shop around for lenders? How do I know what are some criteria we should learn about in terms of which are the good lenders? Obviously, do they fund the deal is probably going to be one of the bigger factor, but like there's fees and reputation and all that. What's your recommendation, Randy?
My recommendation is to go with somebody that has access to many different types of loans. We do a number of loans through private lenders. They can be very quick. They make their own decision on whether or not they're comfortable in the market. And I'm constantly getting emails from lenders. I've been in the industry long enough now that I probably get 25, 30 emails a day from different lenders telling me what their rates are, what their programs are, if they've come out with a new program. And this is something that I have to keep track of to know when we get in a deal that's not plain vanilla. One of the things I do is I keep track of the lenders, but I also keep track of any idiosyncrasies that a lender might have. One of the deals we did in a fairly upscale community, I had an experienced borrower who wanted to buy a house at around $700,000. He had to put around $75,000 into it, but the after repair value was going to be a little over $1 million. So he had plenty of margin. And in those days, I had a particular lender I liked working with. They were quick and they were reasonable. And I found out a great surprise when it went into their underwriting department. They turned it down despite the experience and credit this borrower had. And the reason they turned it down was his particular primary house, the house that he lived in, was worth around $650,000, and they wouldn't do a loan larger than the person's primary house. That was very disappointing because it turned out to be around a $900,000 loan, and had I not had other avenues to go, I would have lost what would have been at the minimum 1 point on a $900,000 loan. So having a variety of sources can really be important, either for the best of lenders. They all have guidelines that have to be met. And in this case, this particular one didn't make sense to me as a broker because of the person's experience and excellent credit, but it made me move it to another source of funds for that deal.
Yeah, and I think having being abreast with all the different kind of funding solutions, funding products, and kind of mixing and matching it is what gives you a big advantage when it comes to making sure the deal gets funded. Because as investors, like what are we looking for? We're trying to acquire. That's what we care about the most, because the profit is going to be made when we acquire and execute on the strategy, right, to exit.
Yes, definitely. And you make your money when you buy, but you need to have a clear vision of where that market may be. And that's where I depend on Tamela because of her experience in being able to research these particular houses. You have a prime example of that house we just looked at in Fairfield, where we thought it was a deal at the beginning. And after looking at it, we both decided it was better off that we didn't get into it and canceled the contract during the option period.
So tell us a little more about that deal and the kind of the whole aftermath and everything. Just to give everyone a flavor of that deal.
A real estate agent brought a deal to me. It's located in Fairfield, Texas. A cute little starter home on a 1 acre lot. The house was built in the 60s. Ranch style house, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1 car, carport. Just a cute little house. It had I call it an accessory building in the back. Some may call it a barn, but there was a building in the back that was in really, really bad condition, and it probably needed to be torn down. The house itself was about 1,300 square feet. It needed a complete cosmetic update on the inside. The outside was not bad. It needed a few things. Needed a new roof, and it did need some foundation repair. Pulling the numbers, the real estate agent felt that the property would be, she told me what she thought the ARV on the property was. And we got we pulled comps on it after getting quotes for the roof and for the foundation repair. I have a pretty good idea of what the interior remodeling would cost. So we just needed the roof and the foundation. After pulling all of the numbers together and pulling comps in the area, which are very, very difficult to find, some comps were selling at a very good price per square foot. Others were very low. So we didn't have a really good, solid number for comps. Because of this, we decided that this was not the deal for us, because it wasn't an exact, we had more cons than we had pros on it, because of the comps and not being able to know exactly where we were going to be. So we decided to back out of the deal because of this and move on to the next deal.
And that's common, right? Because we put it under contract and put up some option money. I assume that there's probably some option money that was lost, but just so we can get a closer look at it. And then some deals we win, some deals it's just a small option fee, which is what the option fee is about. Would you say so?
Yes, that is exactly what the option fee is about. And I do want to say that an option fee is a very small amount to hold a house, to hold a property, to be able to get your numbers together, to get your information together. And as I've said before, I am not afraid to make an offer on a house. I'm not afraid to negotiate a house. And I think that any investor has to get comfortable with the idea of make that offer, put that house under contract, because nothing's going to happen if you don't move forward with that. So that is something that I think that everyone should get comfortable with doing. Everything is not going to go through. And there are going to be times where you may make 10 offers, you might get one. Other times you'll make 10 offers and 6 of those will come through, if not more. But make the offers go through. I have a saying that I tell my friends, I tell Randy, I even tell my children this, and that is, in this business, I look at this as if I'm running and jumping hurdles. I've always looked at it like that. I'm going to get out there and run, and I'm going to try. Some hurdles I'm going to jump and I'm going to clear great. Others, I'm going to jump and that hurdle is going to tip back and forth, but it's going to come right back up. There are going to be times that I jump a hurdle and I'm going to fall and I'm going to skin my knee, but I'm going to get right back up and I'm going to keep running and I'm going to keep jumping those hurdles. And this business, that's what you have to do. You have to keep going and keep jumping those hurdles.
Yeah, a couple of items, a couple of things that I learned in business is, number one is, there's cost in doing business. And, some of these are just all part of the cost. And then the other one is it's all a numbers game. It's a volume play. If you have one deal that goes bad and you stop, that's your experience. That's your loss. That's your only loss. And then that's the loss. But if you have 10 deals and you got 10 winning deals and 1 loss, at the end of the day, it still balances out and you still come out a winner.
That's right. And you learn you learn something new with every deal you do. This is something that you learn every day.
So let's switch gear a little bit and talk about a deal that's working out. You guys want to talk about which deal, the one in Thornton or Mahia? Maybe we can talk a little bit about one of these deals and what the plan is on the deal, and the refinancing and the whole thing, just to kind of give everyone kind of a sense of how do we work the deals.
Well, let's just talk about both of them.
Okay.
Because they're both 2 different deals.
Sure.
Let's talk about the Thornton deal first. This deal, it's a little house in Thornton, Texas. It has an 1.5 acres of property with it. This deal was actually found through Real Estate IQ, and Steve found it. He brought it to our attention, and it's a very cute little house on the corner lot. The people contacted him through a referral through another person that we had dealt with. They needed more space. They trained horses. They raised and trained horses, and the 1.5 acre property that they had was just not big enough. So they found another piece of property, and they wanted to sell their home. They had the home previously. I think they'd marketed it themselves as a for sale by owner, but not real sure. And it didn't go for it. The house did not show well. They had a lot of stuff in the house, and they had their horses on the acreage, so there was no grass. It was a horse lot, basically. And they had found another property, so they needed to sell this property, and they needed to sell it fast. They contacted Steve. Steve contacted me. We worked together on this. The house is a cute little house, but the value in this property is in the 1.5 acres that the house has. Steve and I talked about this, and we decided that the house would be a perfect rental home, because we need rent homes. We are in a area of Texas that there's not really good quality rental property, not a lot of it anyway. So we decided that the house would make a great rental. It doesn't need a lot of work. It just needed cleaning up so that it would show very, very well. We are planning on taking the acreage, dividing it into lots, and putting other structures on there to either sell or to turn those into rental property also. Before we closed on the property, we contacted the city to make sure that this was something that we could do and what we would need to do what we wanted. They were very receptive to it because they need good quality homes also. So this is how we're moving forward. The way we worked the deal is we did agree upon a price. The sellers needed to stay in the home for at least 30 days after we closed until they closed on their other property and were able to get their horses moved over to that land. So we had a contract with them where they were able to stay in the home. They did stay a little bit longer than 30 days, but that was okay. We were very fortunate in the sense that they left the home for perfectly clean, ready for us to go in and paint, repair a few items that needed to be repaired, and we're getting it ready now to rent, which we should be able to rent it probably in 3 weeks if everything goes as planned. Our goal here is to separate out each lot, but take the house and the lot that it is on and refinance that house into a DSCR loan. That loan will pay off the remainder of the property. So we will have the other property surveyed out and it will be free and clear. So we can do what we want with that property. And it's that. Anything else that we should talk about on that?
I think you touched on the things I wanted to touch, which was the financing, the deal making side, which I thought is very creative, right? We got the property with 2+ acre of land. So we divided that up, fix it up, and then we can refinance it, pay off everything. So now everything is free and clear. And now we have the land, which can be a potential for additional housing or sale or whatnot. And I thought that's a really cool a way of kind of looking at a deal. And it's a good deal in of itself, because from a rental standpoint, I think we were looking at, about 1% or more than 1%. So it fits that mode. But then all this extra acreage was an additional bonus that can bring in additional revenue.
Yes, exactly. And I'm gonna touch back a little bit on the financing here, because one of the things that Randy did not mention earlier is some of the programs that he has for investors. Is he has been able to get me qualified with certain lenders that I can do fix and flips or fix and holds with. And I'm only having to be qualified one time per year. So there's new qualification on it every year. But once you're qualified with it, you can do as many fix and flips, as many fix and holds as you would like. At that point, you send in the property and all of the details to the property to Randy, and he sends it in to the lender, and then they come back with, yes, we agree with you on this. And the lender does not require appraisals. They have their own value system, and they'll come out, they'll inspect, and they will either agree with you and say, yes, we'll do 100% of this, or they'll disagree with you a little bit and they'll say, okay, we can't do 100%, but we can do, we can do 95% or whatever percentage they feel comfortable with. But it's a quick and easy system that they use. And usually you can have the information you need back as to what they will approve for any particular property within 48 to 72 hours. So you know it, and they'll even tell you, we don't think this is going to work at all. So we're not going to, we just think the numbers are all wrong on it. The good thing about this lender is they're pretty open to any area. There's some lenders out there that will only work in metropolitan areas. Some lenders won't go into what we consider as rural. And the one that I am approved with, they will go anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's rural or if it's in a metropolitan area. They have the ability to pull comps and to value the property anywhere. And that's not just in Texas. That's pretty much all 48 continental states.
Yeah. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. We have a question. What is DSCR, and what does that stand for, and what does it do?
DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Here's an example. A DSCR that is 1.2. What that means is the income on that property has to be at least 1.2 of what the monthly rental income is or better. So if that loan is costing us as the owner $1,000 a month, the debt coverage ratio at 1.2 means that property has to bring in at least $1,200 a month, 1.2 times the cost in order to make it be approvable. We have lenders that are very tight. They might require 1.35. And then we actually have a couple of lenders that are at par. If it costs $1,000 and it brings in $1,000, they can approve it. We actually have one that if your cost is $1,000 and you're bringing in $750, they'll approve down to 0.75 of the debt service coverage ratio. So you're looking for, in some cases, the 1.35 is easily reached. The rents in that market make it. In other cases, we might not be able to use that lender, and we go to a lender that has a lower debt service coverage ratio requirement.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. And these are the different type of loan programs that that you want to be aware of and you can tap into as you work on acquiring more properties. DSCR is a really good product.
Correct.
I have that. Tamela, what you shared spawned quite a few of these questions. So let me see where I want to go here. So let's talk about, maybe we can talk about the Mejia deal, and what the potential you see in that, and kind of what's the next step?
The next step is to clean it up. Okay, a little background here. I found a property in Mejia, Texas. It was an estate sale. Again, this property was brought to me by a real estate agent that I work with. She knows the types of properties that I'm looking for, what I am looking for. And the day that she put this on the market, she called me and she said, "This is a perfect property for you." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me about it. And I want to see it." It was a very large single family home over 3,000 or right at 3,000 square feet, I believe. Two lots, one very large lots. On one end of the lot was an older mobile home. In the back of the house was a garage apartment and a garage, a 3-car carport between the garage apartment and the house. And walked in, looked at the property, looked at the house, and as I was saying, this was an estate sale. The gentleman that lived there she called him a tinkerer. I called him a hoarder. His family, no family close. The daughter that handled the estate lived in Nebraska. They had come down, gotten what they wanted out of the house, and listed the house for sale. House needs work. It's a lot of work. They had already gotten bids on cleaning the house up, and they didn't want to do any work. They just wanted to get the house cleaned and get all of the stuff removed from the house. And as I was talking to the agent, and she was telling me about the house and describing the property to me, as I was walking through the house, my mind was just going in all different directions. Because when I say this was a very, very large house, it was a very large house, and it was configured in a way that I started seeing the possibilities of it being broken up into two units, a bigger 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit at one end of the house. The mobile home had not been lived in for a while and needed work, but the possibilities were there. And I was looking at this, and then you have to look over all of the junk, or stuff, I should say, not junk, because some people's junk is another person's treasure. But over all of the stuff and see the possibilities. And when I walked into the garage apartment, it had the living room downstairs, and the upstairs was the kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and bath. And my mind started working there again. It was like, well, why can't we turn the downstairs into an efficiency and really rearrange the upstairs so that we still have 2 bedrooms, but then we have 2 units here? And then looking at the garage itself, we've got the possibilities of another unit here. So it's like all of this stuff started running through my mind, and it was like, okay, so we've got the possibilities of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 or 7 units here. And I was like, okay, I can really start putting all of this stuff together. The closing on this deal took about 2 months longer than what we had expected. The house, everything needs a lot of work with the exception of the apartment, the garage apartment that's already there. The survey, I wanted a survey on the property because the daughter that was handling it said that the property was, had told the real estate agent that the property included like behind the mobile home, which we found out later once the title came back that it did not. So at that point, it was like, okay, I want that property behind the mobile home, because I was envisioning at some point pulling that mobile home out of there, and there's enough property there to build a duplex or a triplex there. And so I was thinking, okay, I could take 1 unit and end up with 2, possibly 3 more units there. So the estate attorney actually worked a deal with the person that owned the property behind the mobile, and we purchased that when we purchased the entire property. The wonderful thing, and this is where the numbers come in handy and kind of knowing your market and everything, we purchased this property for a third of what the ARV is. And the repairs are major, but still we're probably going to be in this property for less than 50% of ARV because of the potential that I saw when I looked at that property. And when I saw it, I saw the potential and I saw what it could be, because no one else could have seen that. I mean, Randy, I showed it to Randy, and the first thing he did was, oh my gosh. That was his first thoughts. And it's like, well, babe, once you get past all the shrubs that are overgrown, all the trees that are overgrown, everything that's overgrown, you clean out the garage, you clean out the carport, you clean out the house, you can start seeing the potential. And he had to put on his vision glasses to be able to see this. But his response was pretty much like everyone else's. Oh my gosh. But it's going to end up being a very good, profitable property for us. I think we're going to be able to get, at a minimum, 6 units, probably 7 units out of it. So there's really good margins there. Really, really good margins. We will, once this property is repaired and we separate out all of the units, here again, we will get a DSCR loan. And this should be a very, very profitable property.
Yeah, and so we talk about a DSCR and leveraging that for the BRRRR strategy, which we'll probably dive into a little more in our next class together. Now let's talk, and maybe let me make a comment. I thought this property, there is a lot of work, but if we can really kind of execute on that vision, the rental income can be very attractive, and that would depend on the population and the town itself. So tell us about what you guys see in the smaller towns. These couple of properties are all in the smaller towns, which most investors, they are not really looking at that. But it's these towns that can provide this type of income and this kind of numbers. So Tamela and Randy, maybe you can share with us what you see in the potential of small towns.
Steve, one of the mistakes that investors often make is they're concerned that if a property ends up being foreclosed on, that they won't be able to resell it and recover the money that they've loaned on it. There is a well-known man in Texas called Drayton McLean, who ended up inheriting his father's business. His father specialized in providing convenience stores and small grocery chains with the supplies they needed that the larger companies like a Cisco wouldn't deliver to them because the orders were too small for their business model. Well, he ended up selling out to Walmart for a couple of $2 billion. And if you drive by Baylor University, you'll notice the name on the stadium is McLean Stadium, because he made a fortune in these small towns. And there's gold in them there towns. Just because it's a small town doesn't negate the fact that that you could make good money. You can make a $500 a month spread on a house in Houston that's $300,000. In a small town, a good example, we purchased a home for $40,000. We rehabbed it for $50,000, and the after repair value is the $160,000 to $170,000 range. But the rental value on that property could end up being a spread of around $500 a month. And if your goal is to build up rental properties, $500 a month is a nice spread, and you get 10 of those, and you've got a nice passive, well, not totally passive income. There are always going to be some maintenance issues, but there is tremendous opportunities in these smaller towns, and a lot of the large lenders just won't touch them.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out there that Walmart was well known for their small town strategy before they start hitting up the urban area. So they made their mark in the small towns first too.
And most small towns are in dire need of good housing. Small towns are usually forgotten when it comes to the investor that is trying to fix and flip or invest in rental properties, because it's harder to find a lender unless it's a local lender, but they are out there. COVID taught us one thing, and that is that you don't necessarily have to go to your office every day. Because of that, a lot of people have moved out of the cities. They are wanting space. They're looking for smaller communities, and smaller communities. Where we are approximately 40 miles from Waco, Texas. The town that we live in, a lot of people commute to Waco to work. A lot of people commute to Palestine. We're about 55 miles from Palestine. There's quite a few people in this town that commute to Dallas to work. They carpool there. We are about an hour and 20 minutes from the Dallas area. The local government is actively recruiting and trying to find small businesses to move to this area. The issue that they have run into is, where are my people going to live? If I move here, where's the housing for my employees? This is a real issue for small towns, and we are working with our local government to try to provide good housing, because we desperately need it here for the city, so that new companies can come in and increase they're trying to make more money here by getting more people here to be able to provide a better community and have more things. We have a great school district, so we have that. We have a nice little town, but we don't have housing. So Randy and I and Steve, we're working with Steve on this also. We're trying to either build new houses or buy, fix and flip, or fix and hold housing in this town so that people can have a good, decent place to live. I'm very much into providing affordable homes. I think that they're very much needed. I think everyone, and I mean everyone, deserves a decent place to live. And one of my goals is to do that, is to do the most and the best that I can to provide people with a decent place to live. The city in small towns, most cities in small towns are easy to work with. You just don't have the rules, the regulations, and everything that a lot of your larger cities have. They're also, most of them have reports and where they've had studies done to give you an idea of what the affordability of people that are living in the town and the people that want to move into the town can afford. So you have a pretty good idea of where your price range needs to be. And these are all things that the city can help and can provide you with, especially these smaller communities. And as I said before, they're very helpful. They're wanting to help provide housing, good quality housing in their towns.
Yeah, and I find the cause is actually quite noble. It's about revitalizing the neighborhood and bringing affordable and quality housing in the city. I can stand behind that.
Yeah, and surprisingly, and this is a surprising thing. When houses that have been rehabbed in this community, and they've been rehabbed very nicely, when they go on the market, they are usually under contract within 10 days. And they normally sell for very, very close to asking price.
That's really good to know. It's good to make some profits when you're working on a good cost too.
It is, but it just goes to show that people are wanting good, decent housing, and they have the funds or the capability of getting the funds to purchase these houses.
Right. Well, with that said, we got a couple of more questions, but I think we can save it for the class. And Tamela and Randy, are you guys able to put in your contact information in case we have someone in the audience that want to reach out to you?
Yes. You're just going to have to tell me where to put it in. Do I just tell them what it is?
Oh, okay. Well, let me find it. Let me think. Let me share that here on the chat. I'm not too familiar with your interface.
Okay, I see a box here that says chat with everyone in the studio.
Okay, there you go. That would be the place. So I'm sharing Randy's here. I just found it.
Okay, I just shared my email address.
Okay, wonderful. I don't see it showing up, so let me find that. Here it is. Here's Tamela's. So we look forward to having you join us again for a couple of classes we got planned. One is on funding your real estate deals. We talk about a couple of challenges with deals. Tamela, you talked about, maybe there are lenders that can lend to 100% for the purchase price and 100% for the rehab. But a lot of times they are still looking for some kind of liquidity in your bank account. And if they don't fund 100%, obviously you need to come up with what you need. So it's both tapping into the funding and also being able to tap into the liquidity or create liquidity in order to do the deal. Another big challenge we see is funding for business owners for having working capital and all that. So we'll be having another class that dive into just the funding needs, what we call a capital stack for entrepreneurs. And then Randy and I were just talking about the third class idea. We can either do some case studies, or what might be a good idea is for the folks that want to get into private lending, to participate in the deals in a more passive side. What are the pros and cons, and what are the tips what are the things that you need to be thinking about as a private lender? I thought that's also a really good a class to host too. So look forward for those classes, everybody. And well, we have a Happy Mother's Day promotion still. It's still May, and so a couple of good promotions here that you can take advantage of. Just shoot us an email and also like our social media accounts, and we can get that process started. So you can take advantage of this promotion. Our next class is next Thursday, and I'll be. This is going to be our first time delivering this class, which is about how to use the Motivate Seller Leads that Real Estate IQ has. The different type of data and the fields that we use, and how you can kind of use it for your marketing. So look forward to that. That's going to be next Thursday at 11 a.m. Well, that's all we got for today. And Tamela and Randy, we're so good to have you. And thank you for sharing everything you know with us. And we look forward to having you guys back teaching a couple of focus classes as well.
Us too, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you, and have a good Thursday and the rest of the weekend.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.